Hey people of the VC, it's Andy, Cloudy Mulder. Today is 22nd of August 2017, and this video is all about the first ever rock concert, or first ever gig that of any type that I went to, and that was 30 years ago today. And as the title suggests, it was the 1987 Monsters of Rock Festival, which was being headlined by Bon Jovi, with the support of Dio, Metallica, Anthrax, Wasp, and Cinderella. Throughout this video, there's going to be some. As I'm talking, I'm going to put some pictures up in one of the corners. I've got some shots from inside the program, so you can have a look at those as we're going through, as I talk about my experiences from the day, memories. Some of those memories may well be a little fuzzy now, obviously being 30 years on, but so let me set the scene. So this was 1987. I was 16 and a half at the time. I wasn't the most streetwise teenager, quite a sheltered childhood growing up, bit naive, and I had no idea what I was letting myself in for. As I said, I'd never been to a concert before. I was really surprised when I sold the idea to my parents, and they agreed to it. So I lived in Cardiff in South Wales, and Donington Park, Castle Donington, it's in the East Midlands in England, and it's about a good 3.5 hour, 4 hour coach journey from Cardiff to Donington. So this wasn't going to a first gig where I could get dropped off and picked up, and my folks would know exactly where I was. This was in a completely different part of the country that I'd never been to before. Now, if I speak to my mum certainly about this now, she still has palpitations about it, because she was under the impression I was going with a group of friends. But I think, as I've mentioned in other videos before, none of my friends were really into to metal. So when I said I was going and I knew people, she thought I was going with people I'd be with all day. But in fact, I was effectively going on my own. But I did know some other people that were going within the 72,000 person crowd. There were a couple of people a couple of girls actually from my year in school, and a couple of kids that were older that I didn't really know, but I knew other people that were going. So that convinced my mum that it was a perfectly acceptable thing to send off her son on the other side of the country. And you've got to remember, this was 87. No one had mobile phones, so it was literally, I left the house about 6 a.m. to get to Cardiff Central to get the coach. And between then and when I got home, she had no way of contacting me, or I had no way of contacting her. So it was a bit of a leap of faith on my mum's part, I think, at the time. So I bought the ticket weeks in advance, and I've still got my ticket stub here. As you can see, Saturday 22nd of August. My ticket number is 10,250, and the ticket cost £15. And I bought the ticket from Spillers Records in Cardiff, which was my local independent record store where I used to buy all my records at the time. And I seem to recall that the total price was about £24, so it was an additional £9 for the coach journey there and back. And the coach set off about 6:30 in the morning, so I left kind of in high spirits, and I chatted to the people that I knew on the coach, and so that was fine. But when we got to Donington, literally straight away, I lost the two girls from my year. I don't think they were particularly looking to spend the day with me anyway, so they disappeared. And there were some other people that I'd gotten chatting to on the coach, and I kind of tagged along with them, really, because I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Donington at the time was the festivals aren't quite as well organised as they are these days. So Donington was a one day event. There were 6 bands on the bill, and there was one stage, and that was it. Sort of a 12-hour day. Gates opened at 11. It finished about 11 at night. But I had no idea where Donington was really. I never really, don't think I really looked at a map. It was just a wild adventure that I was going to see how the day panned out. So I remember getting there. I remember the big open field and lots of excited people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coaches. And the bizarre thing was there was a drop-off point for coaches, so you didn't actually know where your coach was going to park after. So that was some fun and games later on at night, which I'll get back to later on. But I arrived, and first thing I did was check out the merch store. I remember I bought a T-shirt. I haven't got that T-shirt anymore. I mean, I wore it to death. It was 30 years ago. It wouldn't fit me now, that's for sure. And I bought a T-shirt and a patch. I remember the T-shirt being white, but when I've done image searches on Google now, I can only see black ones. So I don't know if my memory's faded or the T-shirt faded in that time. But the T-shirt was literally this logo with the bands on and Monsters of Rock 1987 at the top. I bought a program. And I bought a battle jacket patch. I then went and remember buying a burger, and it was just like a really sort of low quality establishment, just like out the back of a van, and queuing up and ordering, getting a pint of lager. I imagine it was Harp lager because that was the Harp. So Harp, I think it's Guinness brewery, but they were the sponsors of one of the sponsors of the event. Which I won't find now. There's a page in here. Of course, I can't find it now. There we go. Yeah. Heartbeat. And I did wonder whether I could find some Harp lager. It's Irish. I think it's the Guinness brewery. Just to do with this video, but I couldn't, so I got some quality beer instead. So I'm enjoying a IPA. But yeah, anyway, so. That is all I remember, eating and drinking the entire time I was there, and I was there for a good 12, 13 hours plus the coach ride back. I seem to recall I pretty much spent all my money as soon as I got there. As I said, pretty naive. Didn't think that I'd have to pay for food or anything like that. I probably assumed that everything would be provided when I got there, which is a bit embarrassing thinking about that now, but as I say, I was 16. I knew no better. But it was really exciting. The build-up started the day before, actually. So this was on a Saturday. So every Friday night I would listen to the Friday Rock Show.
Well, hello there. This is TV on the Radio. Thomas Vance, the music vendor. Welcome to the Friday Rock Show.
With Tommy Vance on the radio, on BBC Radio 1. One thing that I found while I was doing some research for this video is can't really call it a podcast, but someone had uploaded that very episode that I heard. So this is I've got it on a couple of CDs here. They had an interview. Tommy Vance was interviewing Roy James Dio. He had him on the show, and I actually do remember listening to this because I wasn't a Dio fan back in '87. I saw Dio as part of the old school. I knew he was in Black Sabbath and Rainbow, and that was stuff in the '70s. That's the stuff before I was really into this heavy metal music, which was my passion. So I kind of dismissed Dio at the time as just being some old fart who's playing music, and so I didn't really appreciate it. And the reason I remember this episode is because I kind of wanted the interview to hurry up and get on with it and play the music. And he was playing songs from the bands that were they were playing on the day. So Cinderella, Wasp, Anthrax, Metallica, Dio, and Bon Jovi. There's some AC/DC, some Dio, some Black Sabbath, Aerosmith, and Led Zeppelin. And but playing this back, it's 2 hours long for the radio show. It was 10 till 12 p.m. 12 a.m. At night, and this is really good to actually go back and listen to this interview with Dio. And I love Dio to bits now. Really, I love his stuff and appreciate it. And to go back and kind of hear this interview now and kind of relive that was that was quite good. I enjoyed that this week. I'll leave a link to where that is online. In fact, any pictures that I may show appear intermittently throughout. I had no pictures, there were no digital cameras at the time. There are some websites, one in particular that has got some memories from people that went there and some photos from people that went there. I got permission from the guy that runs the site to show some of those pictures. So I'll put a link to that website below and a link to any of the resources that I've borrowed to put in this video. So the first band I ever saw live was Cinderella.
Good afternoon, Donington Park! Alright, you ready to rock and roll?
They were first on the bill, and this is my first taste of live music. So that's yeah, Cinderella. I have the set here. In fact, what's pretty amazing, thanks to the powers of the interweb, is that every band that I saw that day, all 6 bands, I have in some quality or not, a full version of the full set that each of these bands did, which I think is amazing. So yeah, this stack here that I'm going to show is these are all the acts that played and their actual shows from 1987. So not only was I lucky enough for my first gig to be a festival, I can actually relive the experience, and I have been in the last week, and it's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, so I got a hold of a copy of this actually. Now this just sounds like a soundboard recording. It's a really good recording. You can see the songs they played there. They opened with Nothing for Nothing, then In From the Outside, Somebody Save Me, Night Songs, Push Push, Back Home Again, Gypsy Road, and Shake Me. So it's pretty much all from their first album. So the album that Cinderella were touring with at the time, of course, was their smash hit debut, Night Songs. And I mean, they were brilliant. I just remember being completely blown away by live music, the energy, just the amount that the bands ran around and interacted with the audience as well. So the Cinderella guys did this thing where they had the guitar, they would throw it over their shoulder and it would spin around, and they'd catch it again. And they did that. The guitar and the bass player kind of did that in coordinated fashion, and I was just blown away by that. I'd never seen anything like it. I just thought it was just like they were the most amazing band I'd ever seen. Well, they were the only band I'd seen at that time, but I knew that this was the best day of my life at that point in time. Unbelievable. So yeah, they played a great set, and after that,
Let me ask you something. Any of you ribbon heads come here this afternoon looking for a little bit of pussy?
so after Cinderella was the shock rockers, I guess, of the time, Wasp, Blackie Lawless and crew, and they had promised in the music press beforehand to put on a hell of a show, and they did. It was visually stunning, lots of high energy. They had the whole I'd heard about the whole stunt where they'd have a semi-naked woman on stage and they'd slit her throat at the end, and the blood and everything, and they did it all, and it was just brilliant. I mean, to a 6-year-old impressionable kid, I just thought, wow, rock concerts are just the best thing ever. So Wasp, of course, were touring the Inside the Electric Circus album, and again, I have a CD ripped with the actual set. So we have On Your Knees, Love Machine, Wild Child, Animal Like a Beast, I Want to Be Somebody, Harder, Faster, and Blind in Texas. Now this is actually a YouTube rip. Again, I will try to remember to leave a link below to the YouTube video, and you can see the footage. Now, there's a couple of the bands here that I've got footage, or there is footage on YouTube, but you've got to remember again, no digital cameras. How I think on the back of the ticket it says about not taking any recording equipment in, no tape recorders. It doesn't actually say no videotape recorders, but you know, video cameras were just tape recorders at the time, I guess. But clearly, I mean, the size of video cameras in those days and how people must have smuggled them in, I don't know. I don't remember particularly being strip searched on the way in, so maybe it was easier than I thought. But so any video that you find on YouTube it's very grainy, it's very shaky, but sometimes the sound is not too bad. Certainly through some of these you can hear the people chatting next to the person taking the footage, but yeah, but I've scraped the audio and put on a CD, and again, it's not something I would listen to a lot. The quality's not great, but just to have the full set of Wasp at my first gig, I'll cherish that. So next up, one of the bands I was most looking forward to see out of the six of them was Anthrax. More so than Metallica. I'd say Anthrax was my favourite band at this moment in time, and to see them again as part of my first gig that I went to, absolutely blown away by them. The high energy. They were touring off. They were touring off the Among the Living album, and the set they played was just absolutely superb. Classic Anthrax lineup, and luckily the actual live set is available on a commercial release. So this is a Court Mosh. It's BBC Live in Concert CD. It's a 2D CD set, CD1, and it's difficult to read because it's kind of brown on black. The first CD was from Hammersmith Odeon, 5th of February 87, and CD2 is there we go. That is the full Live in Donington set from 1987, and they played Among the Living, Court Mosh, Madhouse, I Am the Law, Medusa, Indians, God Save the Queen cover, and AIR, and they finished up with I'm the Man. And at the time, as much as I kind of can't really stand to listen to I'm the Man anymore, that was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Always been one of my favourite bands to see live ever since, and yeah, that was a great experience. Next up were Metallica.
You guys still alive out there? Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Yeah!
So this was Metallica's, I believe it was their first concert in the UK with Jason Newsted. Of course, a year before, tragedy had struck and they lost Cliff Burton, and they were really kind of just getting back into the swing of things. Now, I've read a lot of snippets and reviews and things of their gig in Donington in '87. A lot of people said they sounded terrible. It was really bad, but you know, I didn't really have a lot to to gauge it against. I didn't have anything to compare it to really, and I thought they were absolutely superb. Again, Anthrax and Metallica were the two bands I really, really wanted to see out of the six, and I didn't think they let me down. They did really well. This is probably out of all the kind of bootlegs that I've got of these shows, the Metallica one is the worst. Now this is this again was a YouTube video scrape that I took. The video is really bad. There's talking all the way through it from the audience. I think there's a couple of people standing next to the guy that just went into Metallica, so they were chatting away. The video is pretty much unwatchable and really shaky all over the place, but you can make out the songs. They played 11 songs. They opened with Creeping Death, For Whom the Bells Toll, Fade to Black, Leper Messiah, Phantom Lord, Welcome Home Sanitarium, Seek and Destroy, Master of Puppets, Last Caress, Am I Evil, and they finished up with Battery. So this was '87, and Metallica, obviously with Jason Newsted, they were still getting used to the new lineup, and they were billed as being as touring the $5.98 EP Garage Days Revisited. Would say they only played Last Caress out of the whole record, although their stage backdrops were Crash Course in Brain Surgery themed, the images on them, and I remember the t-shirts being sold with Crash Course in Brain Surgery as well, and I really wanted one of those, but I'd spent all my money on the official merchandise. But yeah, again, to see Metallica play that early for me, so I was 16, I wouldn't have been able to probably go and see them on other tours, and I was only really aware of them from Master of Puppets onwards. So yeah, that was cool as well. Now, after Metallica on the bill were Dio.
Thank you! Bloody great you are. Thank you! Give yourselves a big shout! Bigger! What? You deserve it. Bloody great.
As I mentioned before, Dio passed me by in the 80s. I'm ashamed to say, or not really ashamed, but I didn't really appreciate what Dio brought to the table. But now, you know, I could consider them part of the. I mean, if there was a big four of heavy metal, I would have Dio in there, probably alongside Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and Saxon, say. And I actually do remember. I mean, I was kind of running on fumes by this point in time. It must have been getting on for about 6-7 o'clock in the evening. So to say, I hadn't eaten pretty much the rest of the day. I was just running on adrenaline, and I was away from the stage. I spent most of I'd seen Cinderella, Wasp, Anthrax, and Metallica all probably about 30 people back, so I could get a good view of the stage and see everything rather than either be too close or too far away. But by the time Dio came on, I remember him wandering around the back, as Donington's this really, really big field, and it's kind of field on a slope, so it's like a natural sort of amphitheatre. And even from the way at the back, looking at the stage, I remember Dio singing Heaven and Hell. I didn't know the song. I was aware of the song, but I remember seeing, and there's just this tiny figure way in the distance, and if you're familiar with seeing video clips of Dio and just his mannerisms and things, and I vividly remember him kind of commanding the stage, and even being that far back where I could barely see him, just massive curly hair and all sorts of bits of material hanging off his clothes as he wore, and yeah, and that was so that was good. So although I wasn't into Dio at the time, I feel privileged to say that the fact that I actually did see them live back in the day. I just wish I was more appreciative of what I saw, but we can't turn back time. But as for the live show, so that is actually available on an official release as well. So Dream Evil was the album that they were touring against. I have that on vinyl as well. But I've got the deluxe CD version. I've got Mike Allen to thank for this, because he showed this and turned me onto it. But on the bonus track CD, there is the full set of Monsters of Rock Festival, Castle Donington, August 1987, and 15 tracks in all. So they open with Dream Evil, then Neon Nights, Naked in the Rain, Rock and Roll Children, Long Live Rock and Roll, The Last in Line, Children of the Sea, Holy Diver, Heaven and Hell, Man on the Silver Mountain, All a Fool Sold Away, The Last in Line, and Rainbow in the Dark. And in the interview the day before, he said that it was he wanted to honour all his fans, and he's really appreciative of all the other bands that he's been in, like Rainbow and Black Sabbath. So that was the reason why they were going to play a lot of songs that him and actually Jimmy Bain had been involved in the various bands. So yeah, I wish I had better memories of Dio. I've actually got the same set, but on this set. So this is a 2 CD set again. This was the second time Dio had played Donington. I played it in 1983 as well. So it's a nice little 2 CD Donington set, but pretty much the 1987 is the same as the one on the deluxe edition. So finally,
good evening. Holy shit. Castle Donington, 1987, huh?
Yeah, so Bon Jovi. That was an interesting choice for headliners. I mean, I can see why they did it. This was '87. This was on the back of Slippery When Wet, when Bon Jovi were just printing their own money. They were absolutely huge. So I think that's probably why they were headlining. I believe this was their second appearance at Donington as well. It was interesting that the crowd was a real mixture of a lot of young girls that were just there to see Bon Jovi, and a lot of thrashers that were just there to see Metallica and Anthrax. So when the gig started and Bon Jovi came on stage, there was just an interesting mixture of kind of like boos and wolf whistles and screams, and it was just a very bizarre experience for me at the time. I just didn't quite know how to take it in. I was standing in a group of kind of thrashers, and I was kind of I was kind of caught on their crest of the rave, so I was following him and saying like, "Oh, you're calling out that he was rubbish," and but then by the end of it, I was singing along to the songs, and I'm just like caught up in the fact that I was in this gig, and it was sort of like 10:30 at night. It was dark, and it was there was the light show. They had this massive, really impressive laser light show at the time, and I kind of got carried away with it. So I kind of went through a lot of emotions on that day, and I kind of look back, and it's just really seems strange looking back now, but it was thoroughly enjoyable, I have to admit, even though I wasn't there. I wouldn't have admitted at the time that Bon Jovi was the band that I was there to see, but I got caught up in it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, I have the full set. This is split across 2 CDs. They played about an hour and 50 minutes or something. I think this is in total. I'm not going to read through the whole set, because do you know what? I don't even know half the songs on here. I'm only familiar with the ones on Slippery When Wet. But there's quite a lot of talking that he did between songs. He'd tell little stories, and there was one time right at the top of the stage, there's a particularly dull and boring long guitar solo bit about halfway through the gig, and John Bon Jovi appears right at the top of the stage above all the lighting rigs, and this is like really, really high up. It must have been about 25 meters up in the air, and really hilarious to hear loads of people around me all shouting, "Jump, jump, jump!" But he didn't. The show ended. Obviously, it was out in the field. It was pitch black. There was an amazing fireworks display at the end, and then it was just a case of going to find the coach. But as I mentioned at the start, the coach drop off and where the coach park was completely different, and nobody had thought to say or ask where the coach was going to be. So I probably spent the best part of an hour wondering how I was going to get home or how I was going to actually find my coach. I don't remember being panicked at all. I think I was just so damn tired by the end of the day, and probably hungry. I think I'd probably even gone past being hungry at that point. But eventually I found that coach, and I didn't get home. It probably took about over an hour once I found the coach to actually get out, because it was a single track road getting out of Donington at the time, and there were hundreds of coaches. So it was just one big coach jam for a good hour and a half, and I didn't actually get home back in Cardiff until about 5 o'clock the next morning. My mum, poor thing, she'd fallen asleep on the sofa, just worried sick. She just eventually just passed out with tiredness, and she didn't have a go with me that night. I went to bed or whatever, but when she found out that I basically spent most of the day by myself wandering around, and I didn't actually go with anybody, she was absolutely livid, and she still talks about it to this day. It's quite funny. But that's the last time she ever stayed after me. She kind of figured if I could get through that, then I'd probably be okay, or she'd probably be best off not knowing where I was or what I was up to. But absolutely fantastic experience as a first gig. I just wanted to share it. Say it's the 30th anniversary. If you're still with me after this point, thank you very much for watching. Check out some of the video links I'll put below, and you can see some of the footage that was taken by people at the time. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.